What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us tonight on Drinkin Bourbon and Talkin Sports podcast. We have a very special guest tonight that we're going to bring up here in just a minute. We got the regular crew, Mr. Sean Fuentes and Mr. Brent Morris, that'll be joining us, and we got a lot of fun questions to ask our special guest, and just so you can get a kind of an idea of who it is. This here is what was released today, the semifinalists for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame. A lot of great names on there: Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, Frank Gore, Fred Taylor, Larry Fitzgerald, on and on and on. But the guy that we are looking at tonight and talking to tonight is a legend that played with another Hall of Famer, Dan Marino, for the Miami Dolphins back in the day. And that man is Mr. Richmond Webb. We're going to bring him on right now. Hey, Richmond, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Good, buddy. Good. I'm so glad you were able to join us. I really appreciate you taking time. I know you're a busy man, and so it's just really awesome that you were able to take time to join us tonight. So thank you.
Oh, no problem. We kind of spoke backstage. I appreciate you guys working with me. I know typically you do your show on Wednesdays, and we had a scheduling conflict, but you guys worked it out. So I'm definitely grateful that you work with me, and I got an opportunity to do your show.
Awesome. We're so glad to have you, man. And absolutely, we're definitely going to do anything we can to work out scheduling issues when we can get a Hall of Famer on the podcast with us. So we can't thank you enough, my friend. You already met Sean. Sean, say hi to Mr. Richmond Webb here again.
Richmond, it's great to have you on, and I'm looking forward to another Texan going into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, I love your background. I need to do that with mine right there. Yeah, that's a mighty big dolphin. He looked mighty intimidating. I said I need to get me something like that.
I got a new computer, so I'm playing with all the new stuff.
You can do that. You can do that, brother.
There you go. And then we're going to bring up Mr. George for Life. His real name is Brent Morris, and big Oregon fan and a big Raider fan, just like the other two guys and me. But we just love pro football in general. So, Brent, say hello to Mr. Richmond Webb.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Richmond Webb, and pleasure to be online with you and the other two knuckleheads we see almost at least once a month. So I'll tell them good evening as well. But congratulations, first and foremost, on the well-deserved recognition. I'm sure. Look forward to talking with you, picking your brain a little bit about what's going on with a couple of our favorite organizations.
Hey, sounds good, Brent. And it was a dead giveaway by the hat. He didn't have to. He didn't have to tell me he was an Oregon fan. I saw he's representing Louisville. So those are two great programs, and
sure.
Y'all in the college football playoffs again this year. So and great coach out there, doing an amazing job. So definitely looking forward. I'm sure we're gonna have some fun tonight.
That's right. Thank God for Saturdays.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give everybody out there, the viewers, I'm going to give them a little background here. Mr. Richmond Webb, he's from Dallas, Texas. Went to Roosevelt High School.
That's correct.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then he played at Texas A&M, where he was a first team All Southwest Conference in 1989 and second team in 1988. He was the 9th overall pick in the first round of the 1990 NFL draft. He started in 183 out of 184 games played.
Holy
the man has got some stamina.
That's awesome.
That's incredible, because how, we all played the game. Of course, none of us played on the level that you did, sir, but we all played the game, so we know how nicked up everybody gets. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight, is kind of get your take on what it's really like trying to get ready for an NFL season. So that's one of the things we wanted to talk about. So, and lastly, we'll say, and we started the show off with this, is that Mr. Richmond Webb has been nominated as a semifinalist for the 2026 NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame. And we're pulling for him and hope to God this is his year. And if not, he'll keep coming back because he deserves to be in there. Just ask Dan Marino. He'll tell you right now. So, Richmond, we congratulate you. We thank you for being here. What are you up to these days? What do you do now that you're no longer in the game? I mean, you've been out of it for a little bit, but now that you got free time and your kids are probably grown or mostly grown and, all those kind of things. So what is it that you do with your time now that you have some time where you don't have to everything to football?
Michael, I think you hit it right on the head. My youngest daughter, she graduated. Well, she got her master's in May of 2025 this year, and so
awesome.
She moved to Charlotte, and she is working for Truist Bank. So
nice.
She did that, and so currently now, me and wife, we've been able to move around. We took a few trips to Florida to go to Dolphin games. We went to Charlotte to visit my youngest daughter, and just trying to figure out how to be a empty nester. But it feels good because I can move around. Sometimes I can sleep in a little bit. I ain't got to worry about getting no kids up for school and all that. But that's basically it. And then like my man on Saturdays is straight college football, and then Sundays pro football. So I'm in my happy place right now during football season.
Yeah, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're living around the Houston area right now. And do you get a chance to get back to Miami often to see some of the old guys and catch a game, and or is this just something that you get to do every once in a while?
I've actually been back more this year than the previous years, and it just we've had a lot more freedom, and so we went back twice. So far, and I'll be back in December for the Bengals game, going down for that. That's alumni weekend, so I get to see a lot of my old teammates. Awesome. And then when we went to Charlotte, actually the Dolphins played the Panthers right there, so we was able to visit my daughter, go to the Dolphin game. Unfortunately, the Dolphins came up a little short that week, but it was good to see her, and really had a great time in Charlotte. It's a beautiful city, this and that, and so we're getting to see different parts of the country, and I'm enjoying that as well.
Awesome. Being an empty nester is great. I've been an empty nester for a while now myself, and it's wonderful. I mean, you miss the kids, of course, but it's nice having that free time and getting to do some things that you didn't get to do when you were raising them. So I'm going to throw it out here to the guys now. Let them ask you some questions. Brent, what have you got anything for Mr. Webb here?
Yeah, first of all, congratulations on your alma mater being obviously well entrenched and probably in all likelihood well on their way to an SEC championship under first-year coach Mike Elko. That's a big time and I'm sure you're proud of them. Been to a couple games in College Station. I'm sure looks like an awesome atmosphere. I myself live in North Little Rock, but I'm a California transplant, so thus the Ducks fan and the Raiders fan. So I like all the California teams. Not at all an Arkansas Razorback football fan. So we won't we won't have any problems there, my brother. But no, I just want to, Michael alluded to a little bit earlier about how we've all three kind of played the position at least, or played the game at least at one point. But my biggest question is, if we could get this thing kicked off on the right foot, the Raiders have a massive problem with nepotism and Pete's inability to fire his son, the offensive line coach, Brendan Carroll. And myself, I played offensive lineman all the way up from, the time I picked up a football until the time I graduated high school, and had a little bit of college offers. Didn't choose to go that route. Wanted to go ahead and get my degree, and I figured out my playing days were over with. But a lot of NFL offensive linemen, yourself included, probably at one point might have played running back in junior high or even, some other skill position, maybe even quarterback. But by the time you get to the high school level, and especially at the college level, you've honed your craft. So my question to you is, exactly what does an offensive line coach do? because ours is clearly not doing a damn thing. So I'm trying to figure out why he has a job, and like what are we doing? Give me some of your experience, I guess.
Yeah, Brent, man, I mean, you had me hyped up there, and you lost me when you said, man, I've been an defensive lineman since I've been playing. I'm always bigger than the other kids, and
Right.
I remember signing up, and the junior high school coach said, hey, put down what positions you want to play, and of course, I put down running back and linebacker. Everybody wanted to, be that back then, and I've been an defensive tackle ever since I put on shoulder pads and a helmet. So I never got that highlight, that glory position, but hey, it is what it is. But to be a good line coach, first thing, especially at the pro level, you got to have some. It's different in a backup and a starter, and I try to tell people that. So if you don't have the quality players up front that typically should be starters in this league, but they're backups playing starters, that makes it tougher. But you've got to be able to look at the guys that you got. You're starting five, even if they are starters. Let's say they're all starters. Certain guys got strengths and weaknesses, and I think you got to put those five guys together to have them work as one unit. And once you do that, you try to put them in the best position to maximize their best potential. So if they're better at running the football than pass blocking, the majority of the time, if possible, you want to get that going. But in the league, you're going to have to throw the football, but there's different protections you can do where you can slide protection or, sometimes have a back chip to kind of help them out. You can't do it on every play, but anytime you can get any kind of consistency where you can get a good mix of run, pass, play action, that takes a lot of pressure. But if a defense can get you to be one-dimensional, it puts a lot of pressure on you because now you're in a position that when you get so far behind, you have to throw it, and you have to throw it every down. And that's when those defensive ends and defensive tackles, they get to licking their chops and they get to stunting and, running out different kind of schemes.
And that leads to 10 sacks like we saw this past Sunday against Cleveland. So I get your point. I appreciate your insight there, brother. It means a lot.
Yeah, I'm also a Ravens fan because of somebody that you mentioned a little while ago, Mr. Lamar Jackson.
Yes,
so him graduating from Louisville and me getting to watch him live for 3 years while he was here. I'm also a Ravens fan. And to me, those two teams are so similar this year on the offensive side of the ball, on the offensive line. They had the same issues, the same problems. You've got, guys that shouldn't be starting that are normally going to be depth pieces and backups that are actually starting. And then you got other guys that probably could do just as well, and the coach doesn't want to seem to change them out. What do you think is the reason, why do some coaches not want to make changes in their lineups? Yeah. I understand the continuity part and stuff like that, but what's the hold up there? Why do you think that is?
A lot of times, and that's a great question as well, Michael. The other thing you got to take into consideration, and now probably into college as well, is the salaries. If you're a guy, say like me, for instance, if I'm a guy, if they're paying me a lot of money, but if Brent's a better player than me, but he's making league minimum and I'm not, even though he's better than me, they trying to get a return on their money. And so a lot of times they stick with guys that they shouldn't, because now if you give a guy, is it a cap friendly cut? Like, so, okay, Richmond not working out, we're going to move off. We got our guy. We just got to free up some space where we can slide Brent in there and, we can send Richmond packing or whatever. Sometimes that's the case. And then sometimes coaches are just more patient than they need to be with certain players. And then the other thing is, I think where you have a disconnect sometimes is, as a coach, I think you need to have a good relationship with the scouting personnel and the general manager, because when the draft comes around, when free agency comes around, these are some of the guys I like. I know you got to work out your numbers, maybe we can't get my top guy, but maybe you can get a couple of guys that I like just based on watching the film, their footwork, their build, their athletic ability. I think a coach should have some input on some of the players, and not saying that you're going to get everybody you want, but at least, this might be my 1, 2A, 2B, this and that. We're going to get somebody that you want. I think you should have some input in it, because if it doesn't work out, I as a general manager, say, look, this is the guy you asked for. I got him, and you can't make that work. So I think it's when everybody kind of works together collectively. And I think the same way with offensive line. I always tell people when I played offensive line, the guy I played next to, we got to communicate. And I would always tell him, I say, hey, if we're wrong, don't worry about it. I say, but we're going to be wrong together. I said, when we get to the sideline, I'll take the heat. I just need to know that I can trust you. Whatever we're doing together, and I can deal with the rest. And I think that's another thing. If they're not communicating and everybody on the same page, it can be just a disaster out there, because it's no way. I ain't gonna say there's no way, because he said he gave up like 10 sacks, but you don't want to do that, because you take pride in what you do, and that's not a good feeling for a team to come in and get 10 sacks and beat your quarterback up like that. That's no fun.
Well, I appreciate your honesty there, and it's really the one part that you mentioned about the salaries and stuff. I never really took that into consideration until you just brought it up, and that probably is a big part of it, or has at least a part to do with some of the coaching decisions. Sean, what do you got for Mr. Webb here, buddy?
Well, first, I want to say, what was it, 93 games out of 192? I don't think you were ever the guy they were, underpaying, or they weren't ever thinking about moving you out of the lineup, for one. They weren't moving on. But, I had a question. I mean, you said earlier you still love the game. You like watching it, your happy place Saturdays and Sundays. When you quit football, did you do anything specifically with your body where you're like, man, I'm at 2A, maybe I should drop 30 pounds, something like that? Or did you keep kind of working out a little bit, or was it just like, I'm gonna relax?
No, that's what I probably should have done. You gave me the right game plan, but no, I didn't. And I think when I first retired, I had to get away from it for a little bit, because I had to detox, man, because it was tough. When you do something for so long, I could tell February we would be starting the off-season workout, and I was like, okay. Then the draft would come around, and I get a little fidgety and stuff because I was at home. Typically, I'm in in training camp. Training camp, it was the same thing. So I was a little fidgety, and I tried to watch, but I just didn't. It was just different. It probably took about 3 or 4 years. And then I think one of the things helped me is when just going to church, I joined the usher board, and it was a lot of men on there. And so that kind of became like my football team or squad. And then once I kind of got through that, I watch, and I do love Saturdays and Sundays, except when my team I'm rooting for is not doing too good. And then it ain't a happy weekend, but my Saturdays have been much better than my Sundays this year. I can't say that.
I bet.
Ours too. Oh, man. Brett, you got anything else?
No, I mean, I like Dan Marino is. For me, he's a top 5 quarterback of all time. Just kind of and I understand there's a lot of people that have to think that you have to have a ring to even be in the conversation. For me, that's not the case. So just, you obviously came in a couple years, half a dozen years, what have you, after he was already established there. But just what kind of presence did he have in the huddle? And just you surely never thought that you were out of a game with him back there being the signal caller.
Yeah. Dan was special. I think the good thing for me was that when I came in, we drafted a guy in the second round, Keith Sims, and we came in. I was a left tackle, he was a left guard, and then we got a lot of attention because we were two rookies that was put on the left side of the line, which was the blind side for the quarterback. But from day one, I think I was happy to get drafted by Miami because one, like Don Shula, and it was warm. I didn't want to go to no cold weather team, just be honest with you. I prayed to the Lord, and he answered my prayer, and I said, thank you, Jesus, I'm going to Miami. So I get to Miami, and then, you meet Coach Shula, and then you walk in the huddle, and then it, like, gets real. Like, these are guys that you watched on Monday Night Football, and, I'm right across from – he's a little bit over, but I'm looking right at him, and then Duper's here and the Claytons aren't here. They side by side, and these guys are 5'8", 5'9", but some of the – when I tell you they used to go to work and just do damage to defenses, man, it was amazing. But you saw how they work and the type of work ethic they had, and the way Coach Shula was. That's why we won a lot of games, because he always paid attention to the details, the little things, the penalties, the mental errors, making sure you knew your assignments, and he'd call you out quick or chew you out if you didn't. So you had to hold it up because everybody held you to that standard, and I think that's why we had a lot of success and didn't have to go through the growing pains. You just had to, like, man, we got to get this together. And then the other thing was we was on the blind side. So for me, I was like, man, this dude is already a legend. Right. I said, the last thing I want to do is get this dude hurt. I do not want to be remembered for getting Dan Marino hurt. And that was, I used that as motivation because I was like, he was already a legend, and he's got a street named after him down there, and that's like,
fascinating.
You do not want to be like, oh yeah, I remember you.
No, that's some awesome stuff. So you literally had that mindset when you got into the league, like, I don't want to be this guy.
I don't want to be that. If you think about it, who wants to be remembered like that? You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I remember we were playing, and you the guy that got Marino hurt, and I was like, oh no. So, That was motivation enough for me. And then I was fortunate, like you were talking about, Brent, about line coaches. I had one of the best to ever, John Sandusky. And when I came out of Texas A&M back then, we ran the football a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you go from running the football to option to, your hand in the dirt and you leaning forward to now I got to learn how to stand up in a 2-point stance and we throwing the ball instead of running the ball 40 times, we throwing it. And then with Marino not being mobile, a lot of times we seen blitz and stunts because they knew he wasn't gonna run. And I was like, my goodness, Bill. We normally did a pretty good job trying to keep him clean, and then he also did a good job of just
Thank God for that quick release, right?
Man, that quick release. And I can remember. I think we would always practice the 2-minute drill, and practice is always a little different game time. We actually had to use it, and I think we needed maybe 70 or 80 yards, and we had like a minute and a half, and then we went down and scored a touchdown. But once the drive started, because the way we did it was, you got your TV timeout, you come back, and then he give you 2 plays. So you get 2 plays, he tell the receivers what to do, blah, blah, blah. So we get to the line. So as a line, you drop back. If he throws it 20 yards down the field, now I got to run 10 plus that 20, get up there. And before I get up there and get set, he's saying, set HUD again, you backing up. And it would almost force defenses to call a timeout, which I needed because I was like, I can't keep running. I'm not a receiver. I'm a lineman. But, he's like, get on the ball. It's like, all right. And we scored it. And it was like, did we just do what we did? It happened that fast. And I was like, man, this dude here is he different, bro. He was like, he was something else, man. I'm telling you, it was a joy. I learned how to, studying him, Duper Clayton, how to be a professional, how to conduct yourself during the week, practice, study the film. I didn't have to create none. I just studied the guys that had did it and had a lot of success. That's what I did.
That's awesome.
Hey, Richmond, I know you mentioned, that you were glad you went to Miami because you wanted to go to a warm weather team, and you're not crazy about cold weather. Being from Texas, I can understand because I lived in San Antonio for about 3 years when I was in the military. And but I know you left Miami. I think you played in Miami, what, 11 years?
Mm-hmm.
And then you went over to Cincinnati, which is, about an hour, 15 minutes north of us here in
Mm-hmm.
Louisville. And that is a cold weather town. So did that have any bearing on your choice to retire after you got there? Because you've only played there a year or two. And,
Yeah.
it's like, the hell with this cold weather, I'm out of here.
No, actually didn't. I think the GPS systems had just came out, and like you said, you about an hour and 10 away from me, and man, I was looking for you, especially after I seen all that bourbon sitting back there behind you. I said, man, I
Hey,
can drive to
brother,
Louisville and get me a bottle or two from my man Michael. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And
now I can drop you a pin.
huh? You
Now
see,
I
now
can
you
drop
can
you
drop
a
me a
pin.
pin. You put me right on it, but no, in all actuality, I wanted to continue to play, and went up there in Cincinnati, welcomed me with open arms. The funny part about it is we went to training camp in Georgetown, Kentucky, right? It was about an hour, I think it's about an hour south of Cincinnati, right? Get there, and where we were practicing at, it was like a field, but you walk down, and so it was like a bowl. And I was like, man, it was so humid down there. I said, man, I thought it was going to be like nice 60, 70 degree weather. And I said, man, I thought I left this in Miami. And the guys was laughing. Like, no, but by like the end of October, it started to get a little cold and stuff like that. But for the most part, some of the practices were colder than the games, but it wasn't too bad. It was just, my body, I put it through too much, and then ended up, tearing my pec my last year. And I say, you know what? I've had a good run. It's time to shut it down. And I just made the decision to retire. But Cincinnati, the people, the fans, everything, they was good to me. I appreciate them a whole lot. The Who Dey Nation.
Yeah, there you go. So you were able to experience the Kentucky humidity, because I tell you what, it's as humid here as it is in South Florida. Oh my God, it's just miserable. But we don't have it as long as they do down there, thank God. So, one thing I'd like to hear your thoughts on, and your experiences. What's it like? It's like a full-time job. We know that it's almost, 12 months out of the year. You're preparing your body, you're preparing your mind, you're working out, you're getting in shape, and you're watching what you eat. And, what is it like getting ready for an NFL season compared to a college season? And what is it like to be able to maintain that throughout an entire NFL season?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, well, now in college they're playing more games, but I think we played maybe 11 or 12 games when I was in college. And so then you come to NFL, and then you have 6 weeks of two-a-days. That's done changed now, so that's a little different. But you have 6 weeks of that, and then you have you play 4 preseason games, and then 16 regular season. Now they play 3 preseason games and 17 regular season games. So I can remember my rookie year. By the time we got to, I'm saying maybe about that 12th game, end of November or something like that, going into December, that was like I kind of hit a wall, and my coach was like, "Hey, you got to push through it," and that's when he was like, "Hey, make sure you're getting your rest. You're not out, running the streets and eating and stuff like that." But it was just my body did adjust to it, but it was like normally that was a shutdown period for me for my first year, and so you adjust to that. But I was never one that just ran the streets, which was good because I tried that a couple times, and I was like, man, Miami, coming from College Station to Miami, where everything closed up 1-2 o'clock when I was there, and then Miami, the sun would be up and you could still be walking out the club. I was like, man, this is a different beast of an animal down here. I'm like, these people know how to. It's a different level of partying. I'm like, yeah, we know to go home, get a little sleep. But I said, no, that's not for me. I learned that quick. And I think that's what it was. But like you said, typically for training camp, I would always go in a little heavier because, like you said, you had 6 weeks. It's going to be hot. And I knew I would drop weight and get down to my playing weight, which to me, I feel better when I'm a little heavier, lose the weight. And it seemed like I feel a little quicker, a little, it could have just been a mind thing. But yeah, I'd always have to go in by 10 pounds, 10, 12 pounds heavier and then cut my weight down. And then once I got there, I could pretty much maintain it. So that was kind of where I approached that.
Awesome. Hey, Sean, we don't want to leave you out, brother. What do you got?
Well,
I'll talk all night. You know that. So you gotta dip on my shoes once in a while.
Yeah, we're talking about the Hall of Fame, and and you getting in it. And I know there's every team has players that are deserving and waiting to get in. And what does it feel like to not to be on the cusp again this year of getting in the Hall of Fame? And I mean, I'm sure it's exciting. What does it feel like? I mean, not many people in the world get a chance to even be, make a cut to get in.
You know what? You definitely got to be grateful. And like you said, this year, this is my second time making the semifinals list. So, what I'm grateful for is even to be selected to that 25. Hopefully, like your next step is to try to make the finals, which is when it cut down to 15, and then that's when it gets real serious. So not far away, but hopefully I can, break through and do that. But like you said, it's so many players that's deserving. Everybody from their different fan bases want their guys to get in there, and I get it. And I think the thing that kind of gives me comfort is, when I look at my resume, I do think I'm deserving of it. It's just having somebody sometime when you've been out for a while to represent that information, let them know like, hey, this guy was pretty good and this and that. And then, let the chips fall where they're made. But at least I've made it to the semifinals and saying, hopefully I get an opportunity to make it to the finals. But like you said, it's a tough job, I think, for the selectors, because each year it's other great guys that's entering, into the Hall of Fame. You have to be out 5 years, but then they start every year it's entering. So it's a tough job, but I think they do a really good job of, what they do. But at the same time, fans are biased and they want their guys in, and I understand that bit. Man, the support I've received from the Dolphin fan base, the way they've supported me and pushed me and just retweeted and done it in a positive way and not attacked other players or attacked, the selectors or whatever. I think that's the way you do it. And so I think it's helped drive more attention to me, and I'm very appreciative of that.
Well, we're pulling for you, big guy. And, you're well deserving. There's no doubt about that. Sean, you got a follow up to that?
What was it like playing with Kitna? You go from Marino.
Kitna is coaching high school football in the Cincinnati area. And great guy, great man, just a man of faith, man of God. And, we were teammates for 2 years, and I knew about him before we got there. So we all kind of came from different places, but just, his work ethic and stuff like that. That's why I know he had longevity in the league, the way he prepared and things like that. And then I think one time he had retired and then somebody called him back to play. So yeah, he still had a little bit in the tank. Ain't nobody called me back, but I tell him, I said, no, you can call Sean or Brent. I think they got a little bit left in the tank. But other than that, I'm going to sit back and hang back with Michael, because Michael got the bourbon up there.
We got all the bourbon, baby. Yeah. Hey, Richmond, one thing, you don't get to go back to Miami and hang out as much as you probably would like to, or, of course, as much as you were as a player. So, but I know you watch them. You keep a close eye on them and stuff. So I want to ask you about Mike McDaniel. Do you think that he's the right fit for that organization right now, or just what are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question. I think you asked it at the right time. I think if you'd asked it 5 or 6 weeks ago, I think most people would have said, no, it's time for him to go. And then, they made a decision to part ways with Chris Greer, the general manager, and it seemed like it lit a fire up under the players, the coach, or whatever. And now instead of being one and whatever, they've won 4 games, and the last 2, I think the one that kind of shocked me, and I was there for that, we played Buffalo a few weeks back. I thought we had a chance to win, but Buffalo was playing really, really well, one of the top teams in the AFC. And even if we did win, I thought it'd be a close game. I didn't think it would be, they kind of like physically just manhandled Buffalo. It was Josh Allen didn't look like himself. It was one of those games. I was like, wow, man, why we ain't been playing like this all year? We'd be in a much better situation. I think that was the thing that was tough, was the expectations were really high for Miami at the start of the season. And then the way it went at the beginning, it was just real tough, and you don't understand it. And you look at the players you got on paper and this and that, and say you should be much better. And kind of like Brent with the Raiders, you look at it. Everybody does it every offseason. We got these players, this and that. If we play the way we should be competitive and be in a conversation to, try to win a division or whatever. And then when that doesn't happen, it's just tough. It's even in our division, I didn't expect the Patriots to be this good this fast, with a new head coach, and it just took over. So it's just, man, you can put it on paper, but until you play them games and let it shake out, you just got to wait and see. But I think the way he's performed the last few weeks, I think he's safe. And it seemed like the team, he's got the locker room and they're playing hard for him. So I think he will probably be there next year.
Yeah, and I've seen a difference since they let Chris Greer go. But kind of tell the people, how does that translate? You fired the GM, not the coach. So what do you think clicked? Was it something that maybe the players thought that they were holding something over coach's head that, hey, if you don't turn this around, you're going to be gone. And now that the GM's been let go instead, that maybe that's not over his head anymore. Like you said, you think he'll be back next year. And I agree with you. And I think he deserves to be back next year. But is there any kind of translation there between the GM being fired and the way the team is turned around a little bit?
Well, I think what happens is, especially if you're a free agent and you came in and that GM brought you in, if he's there no longer, it's like you don't have a voice in the room anymore. So now
there you go.
I'm on display that I've got to show that I'm worthy of this money that they're paying me, especially if I'm one of the guys that's really making money on the team, because another GM is going to come in and say, why are we paying this guy when we could probably cut him or bring in a younger guy, get 2 guys for this guy and still probably get the same production. So I think that kind of lit a fire up under some people and say, hey, if I really like living in Miami, ain't no state taxes, I like the weather, this and that. So right now I'm on audition for these last few games. So I need to put my best foot forward and say, maybe Coach McDaniel, if he's here, at least he can vouch for me. But when if the new general manager doesn't come from within, if he comes from outside, I think he's going to really put a microscope on everybody and say, hey, we need to shake some of this up or whatever. And that's something that if you can avoid it, the only way you can avoid it is by putting your best foot and playing your best football. And then he said, okay, well, I think we can keep him. So I think that probably lit a fire up under some guys and saying, no, I got to really show that, I'm worthy of this money that they're paying me.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And that makes sense. Hey, Brent, I know you had a question.
Yeah. I appreciate all the credentials and obviously, filling in on all your playing history and stuff. Just for some of our viewers that are Raiders fans, you had probably had a chance to play at the Oakland Coliseum and the Black Hole. And what was that like? And then, how do you see, or how does the once storied franchise of the Oakland Raiders get this thing back on track?
Yeah, I think it starts. I think it starts with, and I hadn't studied it enough, but I know I love the tight end Brock Myers, the kid y'all got from Georgia or whatever. I think he's a playmaker, but I think it's either y'all got Pete Carroll, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I always kind of like Pete Carroll, but I don't know if it's him. But I think it's gotta be fixed. And when I came to the league, the Raiders were one of the top teams. It was the Raider mystique, going back to the old days. And then when I was in high school, I played against Tim Brown, which played at Notre Dame, was first round pick for. And then a guy I played with from middle school all the way through A&M, he was second round pick. Aaron Wallace, he was a linebacker for the Raiders and stuff like that. So I've had several players, and man, they loved Al Davis. I'm sure the son is cool. I don't know, but it was Al's way or the highway back then. And he was one of the top owners in the league, but it might need to be some changes up front, and it's it's got to be something. But I think Pete Carroll is a good enough coach to turn it around. I don't know if he's happy with the quarterback situation or whatever, but like you said, Brent, if you can't protect him, you can't really evaluate a quarterback. So you've got to get the offensive line fixed, and that's something that was a concern for me, even with Tua in Miami. You pay a guy this money, you got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, you got all these weapons, but you got to protect Tua in order so he can get to him. So I think everything for me starts in the trenches. I think you build their offense, defensive line, and then move out from there, because really, to me, that's where the game is decided, who can control the line of scrimmage. And you got to have both of those on offense and defense. But man, speaking of the Raider mystique, I did play in Oakland, man. We came out there, and I was just telling somebody about this, with the Gothic paint and the guys with the spikes and stuff coming all out. And them Raider fans are different, bro. They'll come at you on the sideline, and I'm telling you, I thought a couple of them was gonna come across that wall. I'm like, man, these people are actually crazy, but man, they love they Raider fans. They didn't, but I definitely had a question mark, and I was definitely keeping an eye over my shoulder. I said, man, these people here, they serious. They love their Raiders. I don't even know if we won the game or what. I think it was a close game, but I was like, man, we need to get the hell up out of here, because these people, they're about their life for real. I said, no, you don't want to put these people too much.
We actually had that guy on the podcast, Wayne Mabry, known as the Violator. Yeah, he's in the Fan Hall of Fame. So yeah, he's intimidating, but he's a sweet guy, man.
He get my vote. I'm not messing with him. Yeah, and him and some of his partners that roll with him. Yeah. Put them all in the Hall of Fame. You ain't gonna get no
Black hole. Hey, Sean, I see you had something you wanted to ask.
Yeah, you know what? We've had some experience with the current interim Miami GM, Champ Kelly, and when he was with the Raiders, he was here last year as the interim. I really liked what he did. I mean, the guy, we're on Twitter, we're constantly keeping up with the Raiders, and every week it was like the Raiders brought 2 wide receivers in. They brought in a linebacker, and he's just constantly working people out. And I think when he got the job, he brought in for Miami, brought in 2 cornerbacks. And I think one of the things that I always heard, and I say it now, is leadership matters. And maybe Greer, the previous GM, just wasn't leading in the right way. And you get Kelly in there, and he just, he sees a spot. Hey, we're light at corner, so he brings in 2 corners, fortifies that position, and I like him. I hope he gets a GM position sometime. I really like him a lot. So
I had read an article a few weeks back, and you're right. The way you describing him and the way he said in the article was like, I'm temporary GM, but I don't have a job. So, And he said, ain't nobody really safe on this team. So he letting them know. And I'm sure he's probably done some of the same things since he's taken over. It doesn't look good if you're an offensive lineman and they keep bringing in 2 or 3 guys working out. And, you might not say nothing to him. But he's like, man, what he keep bringing these guys in,
Yeah,
that messes with your mind, a little bit, let you know, hey, don't get comfortable, big fella. If you ain't doing the job, we're gonna get somebody in here. And but that's I don't know if he's done that, but it wouldn't surprise me if he had. But it seemed like whatever it is, I think, and he's probably went and talked to different players and just say, hey, this is what we're looking for, this and that. But he seemed like he's no nonsense. Either you're gonna produce or whatever, and if you're not producing, we're not gonna just waste a lot of time on you. We're gonna get somebody here that
I agree. It's not personal.
It ain't personal. It's business.
You're either producing or you're not. If you're capable, play your potential, everything will be fine. You said something earlier, and I've always wondered about this. The communication for the offensive lineman, like when balls in play, it's been hiked. Marino's dropping back, and then that stunt comes around. How do you let the guard know? Do you yell at him? Do you be able to touch each other and you just know what's going on, or is it strictly feeling? Or
sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. So like Dan calls a play, right, and then we walk to the line, and then the center looks over the front, and depending on what the front is, he's going to declare who's the Mike. We used to call him Mike linebacker. It's just a middle linebacker. And so we typically have a middle linebacker and 4 down linemen. So once he declares that, it's a little easier at home. But if we're on the road, say like we're at the Coliseum, or say we backed up and one of the end zones coming out, it's harder to hear. So I need that. That's when the communication really gets important. And then a lot of time when guys, that's why you study film. A lot of time when guys are going to run stunts, if they're way out wide, they'll normally tighten down their stance, get closer to you. So he's like, hey, look out for this and that, because either he's going to maybe probably try to slant across your face or whatever. And then if he does that, I got to stop his momentum so he doesn't split us. And then the guy over the guard will normally hesitate and try to loop around. So he's going to come slam that guy when that guy gets it. Then I just peel off. So you don't have to communicate all the time. It's just when you get used to playing against somebody, I think the less verbal communication, because I can't be out there hollering out, hey, we're gonna scoop this guy or whatever. They like, that defensive lineman ain't stupid. So we would just sometimes I walk up to the line and say yeah or no. He don't know what that is, but the guy does, because we've already discussed it when we watch a film. This is what I'm gonna say or whatever. And it doesn't tip it off, and we don't keep saying the same thing, because they'll figure out, okay, every time he says that. So yeah, that's how.
So a lot of pre-snap reads and film study. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Hey, Richmond, you got a lot of fans on Twitter. You got a lot of followers. You got a lot of people promoting you for the Hall of Fame and stuff. But there was one tweet this morning, or maybe it was even yesterday, I'm not sure, from Dan the Man 17.
Mm-hmm.
And he posted that you every week that you sit down with fans from overseas, from France, from Spain, Germany, the Netherlands, and beyond, with no script, no PR, just your heart, history, and global connect, and make a global connection there. What led you to that? And that is so awesome that you give your time to help bring fans in and help educate, fans that didn't grow up around football and stuff. What got you, into doing that? And, because I really think that's awesome. So,
yeah, me and Dan, we started out doing a little podcast, and we were talking about it. I think I was there for Miami Fan Club, and even in Charlotte, it was a big turnout with a bunch of Dolphin fans. And it's been some people from over in the United States, but I say, hey, you just pick somebody so he finds them. But it's been, I know Germany, one guy was from Spain, France. And so my thing is tell me a little bit about why you became a Dolphin fan or history, because now I think the the NFL is doing a tremendous job of really trying to grow the NFL as far as playing more and more overseas international games. And I can remember when I played, we would only play like during the preseason, but these are actually games that count. So for them to say, no, we're going to give up a home game, which the owners all had to agree to, and go overseas and play it and then go over and promote it. And then I think they went to Brazil this year too. So it's like it's not the same countries. I think I played in Tokyo, I played in Berlin, and I played in Mexico City. But now it's like every week, it was like 7 or 8 games that were played, overseas. And I think for fans, because you'd be surprised how many fans that are over there. Not all of them are Dolphin fans. They have Raiders, they have the 49ers, they have Cowboys. But for them to actually, some of them may never get an opportunity to interact with their actual team. But if they can come over to the country every now and then, maybe you can attend the game. You might not meet anybody, but to get that close, I think that's good for the fan base. And then just for the international experience for them that, I'm supporting them, but at least every now and then, I know once every couple of years, I might be able to travel and maybe not go all the way to the States, but I can go somewhere over here in the UK or whatever and see a team that I've been rooting for all these years actually play a live game. And then the other thing I look at is it's probably 6-7 hours different. So if it's a Monday night game, they got to stay up all night. A lot of them, I've heard them, they stay up all night just to watch the game. I was like, wow, man, that's dedication. So I just love getting the backstory and, tell them, hey, I appreciate it. And I know it's other people other than Dolphin fans, but since that's, who I played with and I get an opportunity and they really be glad that they actually get to speak to a former player or somebody like that. It's a big thing for them. So anytime you can put a smile on somebody's face, I thought it was a good thing. And we've been rolling with it. So far it's been pretty good.
Awesome. I appreciate you doing that because, football is, American football is truly becoming a global sport. And, it's because of efforts like that. And, like you said, Commissioner Goodell's playing all those games overseas and stuff now. And the owners had to give up, a home game to do that. So it took a lot of energy, effort, money, everything to put all that together. And I'm glad to see that, former players like yourself are helping to contribute to grow the sport. And I think it's just awesome that you give back like that. Brent, do you got anything, buddy?
Yeah, with all due respect, I'm not as old as you three.
Yeah, we're
hey, I just want to say,
baby, it's Chrome.
That's right.
The three of us are in the club. You got a while.
I do, however, consider myself a bit of an NFL historian. So I just wanted to ask you, you played with 2 good defensive players in Jeff Cross and Tim Bowens. Obviously went against the great Bruce Smith twice a year. Just, from your opinion, or I guess just from who's the best defensive player you ever played against?
Yeah. You named him. It's Bruce. It's hands down. And, what I tell people is, a lot of people he's an all-time sack leader. He's got over 200 sacks, but people focus on his pass rushing ability, but he was a hell of a run player. He played that just as tough. So imagine playing against the best guy that's a hell of a pass rusher that can play the run as well. And then you playing 2, sometimes 3 times a year because we played them in the playoffs sometimes. Right. It was a game that, it was going to be 60 minutes of hell and hopefully it don't go into overtime. But you knew you was going to when that game was over, you were going to know you played a tough physical football game. And that's what it was. And then it didn't help that Miami and Buffalo are arch rivals. He played for them, this and that. And some kind of way I was wearing 78, he was wearing 78. So they made a deal of, battle of 78s and all that. Tremendous amount of respect for him, this and that, but definitely one of the guys. And I think he helped bring the best out of me because I knew every time I played him, I had to raise my level of play in order for us to have a chance to win the football game. But they had some really good football teams, and that's why they went to 4 Super Bowls in a row. And a lot of people, you know, you down them for that. But I'm like, for you to go to 4 consecutive Super Bowls in a row,
Yeah.
even though you don't win it, that's an accomplishment, a feat within itself. And they were just a little bit better than us. And that's what kept us out of, I think, at least one Super Bowl. But they had some really good teams. And people talk about the Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, all those guys. But their defense was loaded. They had really good defense with him, Cornelius Bennett and Bryce Pop. And they were loaded on both sides, and they had some really good football teams.
Yeah, those had to have been some heck of a AFC East back and forth. That's awesome. I figured you might say Bruce Smith, but I just wanted to hear in case there was somebody else. Like I said, I consider myself a bit of an NFL historian. Maybe there was somebody else out there for some of our audience that wasn't alive in the 90s or didn't follow, in the late 90s that might have been out there that they slept on. But yeah, I firmly thought it was Bruce Smith. Just nice to hear it from somebody who played opposite it.
And thank goodness Reggie White was on the other side. So I'm glad I didn't have to deal with both of them.
Yeah.
For real, that'd be a tough assignment there. Sean, you got anything, buddy?
Growing up in Dallas, I assume you were a Cowboy fan.
Oh, no question. I'm old school Cowboys. Roger Staubach and Drew Pearson, Preston Pierce. Yeah, you name it.
Growing up a Cowboy fan, did you ever play Dallas? And when you played them, were you like, I'm going to make these guys earn it? I mean, you were doing that anyway. You had a job to do, but was it just in the back of your mind a little special that you finally got to beat up on the Cowboys?
It was definitely special. I think I played them 2 or 3 times. I know the most famous game is the game where we played them in. They call it the Ice Bowl. We played in Dallas in the
Leon Lett game. The Leon Lett game.
The Leon Lett play. Yeah, he was a hell of a player. We just tried to dive on the ball and slip. It was ice and all that. But yeah, that game there. So that's probably the most famous game. But yeah, they had some really good teams. But I always look forward to playing against them because it's like that's where you grew up. You're rooting for those guys and this and that. But yeah, it was a little different at time playing. You didn't have to get motivated. For me, I didn't have to get motivated because I was a childhood Cowboys fan, and then everybody went to school with high school. They talking about the Cowboys and all that. So it was like, man, if you can get a win against them, that's good because I got a little bragging rights when I come home. But if not, they gonna give it to me. So that's just how it worked.
Yeah. What's it, one last question maybe not the last one, but what's it like to play with somebody all of us probably, I played against guys, in grade school and then middle school and then high school. What's it like to play with somebody through high school, through college, and then, play against them? What do you guys do after? Like, I always see NFL players talk to the other team.
Yeah.
And
It's competition, but then you respect, like I said, I played against Tim Brown in high school. And, Tim Brown was a tailback in high school. And then when he went to Notre Dame, they moved him to receiver and punt returns. And he was electric. He was a beast in high school at tailback, but it's just, you remember that. And then like getting to, meet them and play in the Pro Bowl with those guys and this and that, just, man, it's you get to meet them, you compete, but at the same time you earn friendship. So, Chester McLaughlin, rest his soul. He was a good friend of mine. Howie Long, I always got along with him. Man, a lot of Raiders. Terry McDaniel, we always got nicknames T-Mac, So yeah, and then I was a big Art Shell, he was a coach when I came. He's like, man, him, you put them, he was another level. So you look up to guys like that because you like, man, he was nice. And so, yeah. And then when you get an opportunity to meet them and they treat you like you just a normal guy, because really you kind of, what I'm saying, you're in the NFL. But I'm like, man, that's Art Shell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's different, and you pay respect and all that. But yeah, most of them have been pretty good and always had good relationships. So that's the part. Like Brent said, he's a historian, but you get to meet these guys you used to watch on TV. To me, that's what it is. And I always think them because they paved the way for me. You know what I'm saying? If those guys didn't make the sacrifices they did, it wouldn't have got better. But they paved the way, so I always pay homage to those guys.
Awesome, Brent. We've kept Mr. Webb long enough. It's been an hour, and I know he's a busy man. So you got a last question for him before we let him go?
Yeah, just you know, I know you're obviously most notably a Dolphin majority of your playing career. But if you had to, if you were a betting man, and somebody said, "Who's your two favorites to represent the AFC and the NFC in the Super Bowl this year?" Who you got?
AFC. NFC right now, just right off the top of my head, 3 teams come to mind. That would be the Rams, that would be the Eagles, and I'm still Detroit. I can't just throw them away. AFC right now, I'd have to say Denver. They're playing, I think, pretty good. The Patriots are, but I don't know. I would have said Buffalo. They're playing pretty good. Yeah, those two. Kansas City, they've lost. They losing a couple of games that they typically would have won. It's just not swinging, so it might not be their year. But Denver's having a pretty good year right now. And the Patriots are having, so a lot of time it's getting the best record where you can get. I think it's West now. It's just one team that gets to buy. I think, but getting that, if you can get that first game at home, that's huge. A lot of times.
All right, brother. I asked you if you were a betting man. I didn't need 3 teams. I need one. Give me 1 and 1. Who's your pick to click? Give me
No
2
filters,
teams.
no filters.
I'm on board with the Rams. I think the Rams.
Okay.
Right
I'm
now,
gonna
I think the Rams.
I'm gonna go with the Rams in the NFC. I'm gonna just say Denver. I know,
So
I like
defense.
Sean Payton as a coach.
I like the defense.
Yeah, I like the defense. So right now, those 2 stick out right now if I had to.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I like it. Well, once again, I'm sure these other 2 guys are going to sign off, but I greatly appreciate you coming on and spending an hour with us, and it was really fascinating to hear some of your knowledge on and once again, congratulations again on just being nominated, and I hope that maybe Willie Anderson gets in this year. Maybe it'll help your cause get in too, but old teammate of yours. But Godspeed, brother, and I wish you best of luck.
Thank you so much, Brent. Yeah.
Hey, Richmond, thank you again, my friend. And, you mentioned about meeting, players that you grew up watching and stuff like that. I'm a lot older than these 2 guys. I'm even older than you are. So I grew up watching you. I didn't grow up watching you. I was already grown up watching you. And I always admired you, even though you were on the opposing sideline. So I'm in awe talking to you tonight. I think you deserve the Hall of Fame. I remember, you vividly on the playing field, and good luck with that. I really appreciate you coming on. But before we go, I've got one last thing I want to ask you. And like Brent said, he asked you for 2 teams. So I'm going to ask you for this. I'm asking you for a score for the Longhorn Showdown this weekend. What is your score for Texas A&M?
Nobody's feelings will be hurt.
No, I ain't gonna be hurt. The easy part is I got the Aggies winning. The hard part is picking the score because I know it's
Well, we're not going to hold you to it.
Okay. I'm gonna go 28-24 Aggies.
Gotcha.
Whoa.
Man, it was so awesome having you on. Hopefully we get to see you at the the Super Bowl, walking across the field and being introduced for the a new member of the Hall of Fame. A lot, there's so many great nominees this year, and you are certainly one of the deserving ones. So, but thank you for taking out your time. Anytime you're in Kentucky, brother, you want to come down for the Derby or something, hit me up.
Okay.
We'll have all the bourbon you want. I'll take you on the Urban Bourbon Trail, and we'll just get. Well, I don't know about you. I don't know if you drink that much.
We ain't gonna tell nobody. We ain't gonna tell nobody. Don't worry about it.
We would have us a time. Let's just say that. So, again, we appreciate you. Thank you. Thank your family for us for letting you take time away from them and spend a little time with us. Good luck on the Hall of Fame. Good luck Saturday, and thanks again, my friend.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on the show. It went fast. It didn't even seem like an hour, so I appreciate it. I enjoyed everybody. Great questions, this and that, and good luck to your teams. And hey, maybe we'll do it again another time.
That'd be great.
Absolutely. You're welcome to come back anytime you want.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Jim. I appreciate that. All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Have a good one, buddy.
All right.
All right, everybody. That was Mr. Richmond Webb, former Miami Dolphin, nominee for the 2026 Hall of Fame. More than deserving. If you want somebody's opinion that matters, ask Dan Marino. He'll tell you. He's been vocal about it, and I agree with him. And you guys did a wonderful job tonight. Thank you so much. I hope I didn't hog up the whole show. I tried, but y'all kept cutting me off. So
yeah, that was fun.
I just couldn't let Sean go on one of his rants tonight.
I was trying to keep it under wraps. I was trying to keep it under wraps. But
you did a good job, man. I'm going to give you credit. You did a good job. I'm proud of you. So, that was awesome. Okay, that was awesome. I mean, we had Wayne Mabry on here, the Violator. That was also awesome. I'll tell you guys and the people watching that I'm working on another former pro player to come onto the podcast. He's a former Raider. He also played with the Dolphins and a few other teams. So if I can get him on, I will. I'm working hard. It took me almost a year to get Richmond on. So, these guys are super busy. So anytime they spend with us is so appreciated. And I know you guys appreciate the hell out of it.
I appreciate you setting that up, brother. I know I speak for Sean when I say earlier. Thank you. And with all he's got going on in this latest, he's in the news and more especially than ever right now. So I'm sure he's super busy. But yeah, that was awesome. It was a nice release from the everything going on right now. So it's awesome. Like I said, he said the hour flew by, and it really did.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have sat here and talked for another 3-4 hours, and it wouldn't have bothered me one bit.
No, me either.
So, once again, I appreciate that.
You guys are welcome, man. I mean, this is our show. It's not my show. It's our show. I might be I'm the one with free time that can go out there and talk to these guys and reach out to them. So you guys got jobs and families. So, I can sit here and just drink some bourbon and get on Twitter. So,
hey, but before we get off here, though, I think we can all agree that this Thursday's game between Kansas City and Dallas is it's a big one. I think it's a playoff or bust for the loser, right? I mean, I would think so. I mean, Dallas. Yeah, I know they beat us in Week 11. They looked pretty good. I didn't think they had it in them. I know Philly kind of choked that away Sunday. But I think this one right here, I trust Andy Reid more than I do Schottenheimer. But at the same time, I think Dallas is they're more talented. I think that they've got more belief right now. And I think that the loser of this game, dude, if Kansas City falls to what 5 and if they fall to 6-6,
that's 4 games behind Denver.
They're going to have a hell of a time getting into the wild card. I'm telling you, I'm here for it. I'm rooting for Dallas. I am rooting for Dallas.
Me too. I even picked Dallas to win the game. So yeah. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, they got everybody above them has the tiebreaker on them.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. It is a win or go home. Dallas loses, I feel like they're out. Kansas City loses, they're out. Kansas City would drop 4 games behind Denver, and as it stands right now, 2 games behind the Chargers. So they're not getting in when you've got the Jaguars involved. You got the Bills involved. You got the Ravens back involved in it now. The only way Ravens are getting in is the same way anybody in the North is getting in is winning the division. Okay. And then you got the Patriots. So, yes, everybody's got the tiebreaker, like you said. And I think this might be the year that we finally see Patrick Mahomes sitting at home watching playoff football. And I'm all here for it. I mean, I don't hate the guy. Because I don't hate anybody. I don't dislike him. Well, I do. I dislike him. I just don't. He's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He's a great quarterback. But that damn voice, if I hear that Kermit the Frog voice one more time, every time he comes on, I got to hit the mute button. So,
well, there was
this weekend. So Thursday especially, yeah.
There was something I wanted to say last time, but I didn't because I had to leave early. But and now that Chip has been fired, I had this thought that it could come to the way they're playing in the last game of the season. It could come down to Raiders Chiefs. Chiefs have to win, and then maybe get a little help, and they're in. But they gotta win, and so.
I don't think so.
I know we're there's a lot of Raider Twitter, a lot of people like tank for the draft position. Now that Chip is gone, I'm really interested in this. Everybody is, but I'm really interested in this next game because it's come out that Chip had the final say on offensive linemen.
Well, what you're listening to or reading there is the same thing I'm reading, and they're not from verified sources. These are guys that are fan posts just like everybody else. Okay, if you're talking about what you could talk about a little bit about what Amy Trask mentioned too about Jim Gray being part of the deal to bring Tom Brady in because Jim Gray's been trying to get in since way back when Al was still alive and stuff. Yeah. So I wouldn't put too much into anything anybody's reporting out there until the end of the season.
Yeah. Well, what I've been saying,
of course, he has some say on who the offensive linemen were going to be, as he should. But the final decisions should come down to Pete Carroll and John Spytek, just like we talked about with Richmond. That's how it works. The coach and the GM should have a close working relationship. The coach should say, this is the type of guy I want. The GM says, I can't get that guy. How about these guys? Okay. Yeah. So I don't buy into and I'm not saying it's not true because I don't know either, but I don't buy into the one guy had all the power and the other guy didn't have none of the power. I don't buy into that. And
no, I think we're going to find out who's starting. If we have two rookie, we have a rookie guard playing and a rookie.
Okay, you guys have heard Pete Carroll speak on it. You guys have heard Pete Carroll speak on this.
Yeah.
And Pete Carroll has said, I'm all for getting guys ready if they're going to help me win now. Well, that's the worst thing you could say about young players. Your job is to get them ready so they can play. Not to help you win right now, but to help you win in the future. But if you're not getting them ready now, then what the hell good are you doing as a coach? Okay. Pete Carroll's not going to change that offensive lineup. I can tell you that right now. I'll be willing to bet you some money on that if you want. I'll bet you a bottle of bourbon on it.
We're gonna find out if it's true. Go ahead.
No, I'm just not buying into it. But Chip, I don't think Chip Kelly had the pull. I think he had the pull when it came to between him and Pete. I do. But I don't think he had the pull as, making roster decisions.
Well,
Spytek, this kind of guy.
One thing I'd say about Ziegler that I did, I thought he drafted pretty well. But on the bye week, he came out and sat down in front of, I can't remember which reporter, maybe it was Hondo, I don't know, and answered questions.
Yeah.
When I watch the games, I listen to them. When I do watch the games, never is the camera on Spytek. Never. Not before the game, not during the game, not after. And I see other football games also where they put the camera on the owner or they put it on the GM. So, is he we don't hear his voice. We don't see him. and there's all this confusion on who's supposed to be starting and whatnot. Then this Jim Gray thing came out. I'm like, who's running this show?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, this is typical, not just Mark Davis, game planning. This is how Al did shit too. So, but it worked for Al and it doesn't work for Mark. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the last thing I'm going to say is when you talk about the offensive lineman, you don't have to go any further than this right here. Stone Forsythe is starting for our goddamn Raiders. Okay. That's Pete Carroll. That's Pete Carroll. That's not Chip Kelly. That's, I can't agree with that being Chip Kelly. So,
well, I agree with that. Pete brought him in. He
brought in Lockett. He brought in the linebacker. I can't remember his name.
You're either a starting caliber lineman or you're not.
And he's not. And he's not.
Okay. And so was there a starting caliber lineman on the street?
It doesn't matter. You built you had the entire season to build this roster. There were free agents on the street that are better than a Stone Forsythe.
Hey, I'll just say this. Look, fellas, we took 10 sacks on Sunday.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me that our rookies that were inactive for the umpteenth week in a row couldn't have done the exact same job?
Yeah.
Throw these guys.
Tell you what, Caleb Rogers was chomping at the bit.
Throw them in there and give them baptism by fire for all I care. At this point, I don't give a shit anymore.
No. Yeah.
Because
you got nothing to lose.
Got going on right now, the product on the field, and Mo Morton, you guys probably, I know y'all follow him on Twitter.
Yep.
He said this is the worst Raiders team he's ever seen. Yeah. And I echo that. This is unequivocally, absolutely. This team looks lost. They have no business playing on Sundays. I feel, I said this last 2 weeks ago when we did this pod. I feel so sorry for Max because he wants to see this thing through as any alpha male would want to. He wants to see this thing turn around, Right. But at the end of the day, this is the worst this organization has ever looked, and we've sat through some miserable seasons. This one is this is. I mean, you can't even make an argument that this is not. And I think there's no possible way Pete survives this. I think what happened is Brady brought in his guy, Spytech. He got in Mark's ear. He said, look, I know a guy in Tampa. Bring him in. We know that Pete Carroll wants to get back into coaching. We'll bring in some named coach because our GM doesn't have a name. There's no way Pete survives this. And I think next year in the offseason, you see Brady and Spytech go out and hire their guy. I'm with you, Michael. There's no way. There is zero doubt in my mind that for everything that Pete Carroll has said at that podium about Charles Grant, his time's coming, yada, yada, his time's coming, that he's not making the calls. He threw Chip Kelly under the bus, and that's fine. He's a more respected coach than Chip Kelly. He did that. I completely understand. I don't blame him for that. But Pete, hey, if you're the owner of a restaurant and your executive chef is doing something that you don't agree with, you're not going to continue to let that executive chef throw out shit when your name is behind that item. You're not going to do it.
Well, you look at this, okay? What you just said there, Brent, is you hear the comments about Charles Grant, about Caleb Rogers, okay? And what does he say? He said, well, we're not going to get them ready to play in games when they can't help us win. Well, like you said, they can't do any worse, okay?
Exactly.
But for your head coach to come out and claim that in the media,
it clearly shows you that
it
clearly shows you that there's a clear disconnect between the GM and the head coach, and this is an absolute recipe for disaster. And we know, guys, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that there's no way this front office and or head coach marriage will last more than one season. It's completely combustible. There's no way. One of them has to go. If I'm the betting man, I think Mark leans more into Tom Brady because for whatever reason, he worships the ground Tom Brady walks on. And I'm telling you right now, I think Pete Carroll cannot survive this. I don't know where we turn from
I
here,
don't think
but
so
I just
either.
know this marriage. No, it's if it could have been annulled, it would have been annulled a long time ago because it's not working.
Okay, I'm going to ask both of you the same question. And this, Sean, this is not a drawn out. Okay, let's explain it. I want to know which part of the team. I'm talking about players. Is the biggest problem right now? Offensive line, defensive line, quarterback, running back, receiver. What is the biggest problem that we are facing right now? Literally.
Yeah, it's 10 sacks. I mean, 10
So
sacks.
you're saying offensive line.
Yeah, offensive line.
Okay. Brent?
Oh, I agree, but I'm going to throw in a caveat there that when you know your offensive line is clearly your Achilles heel, your quarterback can't hold onto the ball looking for deep shots left and right every single time. There's no way Geno Smith, who's been a 10-plus year veteran in the NFL, doesn't know that his offensive line is so cheeks, as the younger generation would say, that he can stand back there and take ridiculous sacks when anybody with two eyes and 20/20 vision can watch the game and say, what in the hell is he doing continuing to hold on to the football?
Okay, so that leads to this point. And I agree with you both. And I agree with you, Brent, on what you just mentioned about Geno Smith. He has been in the league for a while. He's older. Hell, he's in his 30s. Okay. And not only can you not stay in the pocket, but you got to get rid of the damn ball. You can't take that sack. You can't take 10 sacks. Okay, so we all agree the biggest problem with this team is the offensive line. Okay? The biggest problem before that, people were complaining about the special teams. So they fired the coordinator. Then the biggest problem now is the offensive line, but they don't fire the offensive line coach. They fire the offensive coordinator, who was a problem too. Okay? But if you're going to use nepotism and you're going to hire your family as a coordinator, as a position coach, he better damn well be a good coach. And they're not. That tells me all I need to know about Pete Carroll, and as far as him coming back next year, is that he is pointing fingers at everyone. And Mo Moton mentioned this. Everyone except himself and his sons. Everyone else is getting blamed. You know, and you hear him talk up Stone Force, oh, he's playing better than he's ever played in his life. And you see Mina Khan like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? You know? And so, yeah, if your coach is saying that and he's saying he's not helping the young guys develop, I mean, look at the receivers. Okay, you know, Dante Thornton's finally starting to catch on to the route tree, and he's starting to run better routes and stuff. But they're not getting any play. They're not getting any snaps in real games, and they're not getting a lot of damn reps in practice either. So if you're not going to develop the young guys, what the fuck are you even drafting them for? You know? So and we said this last time. I said this last time. I don't know. I don't remember if you guys agree with me or not. I can't remember. But I said, you're going to have to burn the whole house down. That's what it's going to take. You're going to have to clean house.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know Sean's chomping at the bit to chime in here, but I'll just say this. I'll put a bow on this and say, look,
I'm glad you took that damn dolphin down.
So, look, the problem, and here's what Raider Nation is sick of, amongst other things. But the biggest thing to me is I sit back as a fan and I watch this team perform or don't show up every Sunday, is you see the problem with Pete's mindset with the offensive linemen and the rookies and the Jack Besh not getting any burn compared to Tyler Lockett. It is, you see all the players, you don't want to develop them. Well, then those players like Drake Thomas and everybody else go off to other organizations and flourish. And that, to me, is a complete injustice. It's absolutely ridiculous. Should never happen.
Absolutely.
Your own draft picks. I mean, the Kyer Elams of the world, the guy that's bounced around, the former Buffalo Bills first-round draft pick that's now bounced around to like his fifth different franchise. A bust is a bust. But you can clearly figure out the bust pretty quickly. But it's the guys that you're not going to give even an opportunity that suddenly go off elsewhere and flourish, where it's just like, I'm sick of it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because, I mean, you look at the guy like an Arden Key and a Mo Collins, and, look what Mo Collins, I'm like, or, you look at Divine Diablo, you look at Keeson Nixon, you look at, Trayvon Morig, you look at Nate Hobbs. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And these players, like you said, when they leave the Raiders, they thrive. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. And that's a problem. And it's been a problem for a long time. And until you get serious about burning it all down and rebuilding from the foundation up, you're never going to be any better than you are right now. And if Mark Davis doesn't finally realize that, then we're doomed for another 20 years of this shit. Go ahead, Sean.
All right.
Bite your tongue off.
I'm gonna be quick. This is not my personal opinion. I could see a path where Pete comes back next year.
Oh, God.
Because of the dysfunction. Because of the dysfunction between Brady, Spytek, and Pete. If history serves us correct, Brady was 0 on getting a quarterback over here. He didn't get Saleh over here, right? He didn't get anybody he wanted over here. So he's not a good salesman, right? So getting a new coach that he's going to fire next year so that he could get another coach because he's going to get Carr, the quarterback out of Notre Dame. The path that I see him staying is like, well, we didn't get our guy. Let's just stick with Pete one more year and we'll get our guy next year, no matter what he does, right?
I can't see that. I can't see any path to that. And here's why I'm going to say that.
Dysfunction.
Okay, here's the thing. You said
when you got Jim Gray making the decisions, anything's possible.
You don't know that. You're assuming that.
I didn't say that.
All those guys are assuming that. All of them. Nobody knows what's going on inside that headquarters besides the people in it. Okay, all they know is what they're being told. And I'm telling you, even if that's true, and it probably is that Brady's making the calls.
I said,
why are you going to keep why are you going to keep a coach that has done a shit job, that he was your third choice, and let him do it again next year when you bring in a franchise quarterback and let him fucking ruin that quarterback and then have to bring in another guy next year?
Okay.
You get rid of him now.
I think Raider Nation should get ready to not draft a quarterback in round one this year. Get ready for it.
You cut me off. You cut me off. Okay, I'll let you talk. Now you let me talk.
I thought you were done.
He ain't he ain't happening. It ain't happening. I'm telling you. I know you don't like Brady, and that's fine. I'm not crazy about him either, but he's part of the organization now. Okay, I know you don't like Spytek. You didn't like Chip Kelly. I get that. And you're talking this. Well, I can see there's no path that Pete Carroll has, or Tom Brady, or John Spytek, or Mark Davis that brings Pete Carroll back next year. Now we all know that might happen, even though we don't see the path, or I don't see the path. You see one, I don't. Okay, but we know that might happen anyway. Okay, because that's the way Raiders do things. Okay, but it would be a huge, huge mistake. You're bringing in the franchise quarterback next year. You need to bring in the coach that can help him develop and turn that program around. If you bring Pete Carroll back, I'm done with the fucking Raiders forever. That's as far as it goes. I'm dead serious. I mean, I've checked. I feel more disconnected from this franchise than I ever have in my life.
Yeah.
And I've been watching them for 57 fucking years. I've seen 30 years of glory. And now I've seen 27 years of shit. And I've had enough. Okay. So, and I'm not the only one out there that feels this way. Okay. The rest of Raider Nation feels this way too. I don't see anybody supporting Pete Carroll coming back. So if Tom Brady brings him back, or because you said Brady's the one making the decisions, not Spytek, not Mark Davis. So if Brady brings him back, I'm done with the fucking Raiders. We'll do this podcast, but I ain't talking Raiders.
Look, my thing of the path back is that Brady can't get anybody else.
Well, here's the thing: you don't know that
for this cycle, and I don't think, really quickly. I don't think, listening to what Brady said about Carr, the getting the high draft pick. If we say we get to number 2, it's only one pick. You got to give up even if you're trying to jump to number 1, you still got to give multiple ones. So I mean, what I'm reading is that they're not going to pick a quarterback this year.
What are you talking about? We got to give up picks for what?
So if you say we stay at 6 and you want to draft more out of
Moore's not coming out, but
let's say you want to move up in the draft.
Mendoza. Let's say Mendoza.
Mendoza's not making it to 6.
No, he's not.
So we got to move up. We can't. The Raiders would have to give more than just the 6th round pick. We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But here's the thing: you got plenty of quarterbacks coming out this year, and we're sitting at 4 right now, not 6. Okay, and you're not going to win another freaking game with Pete Carroll as your coach and Geno Smith and that offensive line.
I think honestly, I think Brady doesn't care if they win.
Brady
does not care because there's a method to the madness that he thinks he's the Elon Musk of football, right? Cloning donkeys and having all these businesses and shit. So this is just you lemmings, you fucking poor people, don't fucking have my brain. I'll show you how to do it in 3 years. This is how this motherfucker thinks.
Can I ask you a question? You a question? Did you have this conversation with him? Did he tell you that?
I called him yesterday. No, actually, look, I just read what it's clear. I don't have to have a conversation with him. If he was all in, he'd be at the facility.
He's not all in, and that's why
he's pulling his
that's why you and I disagree. He's not all in, and that's why I say he doesn't have the final say like you think he does. Okay, I don't care what they're saying in on Twitter. Okay, because they're not in those offices. They don't have the conversations with these guys. What they hear is secondhand news, third-hand news, and you all know if all 3 of us sit here right now and we get told the same exact story, and then we go our separate ways, and somebody asks us to repeat that story, you're going to get 3 different versions.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm saying don't put so much stock into what these people are saying. Tom Brady's got some pull. Yes, he's gonna recommend, but I do not agree. And I may be wrong, Sean. You may be right. Okay, but I do not agree that he has the final say. Okay, and like I said, giving up draft picks is, that's a different story. But I don't think we got to worry about that because I don't think we're going to win another game. We got some tough teams coming up. We got Kansas City, we got Denver, we got the Chargers. It's
Philly.
We're not going to win another game, so we're going to be in that top 3 or 4, and I'd say we would be at the top. So you're going to get your choice. And if you got a Mendoza, you got a Ty Simpson, Dante Moore, like says, the kid from South Carolina, Lenora Sellers. I mean, there's a lot of quality quarterbacks. Okay. And if you can't get your number one, then we're talking a different story. But I don't see us having to give up a bunch of draft picks to get our quarterback this year. I don't, because I don't have the faith that they can win another game. And that's, and if they do, it's like I said on Twitter, that's the Raider way to fuck it up. Okay. You got the chance to go, instead of tanking when you should,
Raider way.
come out and say you're tanking, just do it.
Yeah.
Okay. But if instead of doing that, you go out and win a meaningless game and fucking throw your draft pick at all.
I traditionally would agree with you, Michael, that has been the Raider way. But guys, this team is not competitive. Like in years past, in years past, I would say, yeah, we probably sneak in a victory or two here in the last 5 games. But unfortunately, I don't see it, and
I don't either.
But if I could, playing mediator to y'all's banter just there, just if I could throw that in real fast, and I agree with both parts of y'all, and I'll just put it this way. I think, and this is just Brent Morris's opinion on 2 days before Thanksgiving and the Lord of our Jesus Christ 2025. This is just my opinion. I think Brady and Spytek are just sitting back laughing, enjoying it, and saying, look, I told you so. And, like, Mark, you wanted to win now. You wanted to go get Pete. You wanted to bring in Gino. You wanted to do this. And at the end of the year, they're going to sit back and look now and say, look, now can we do it our way and tear this whole thing down? And I'm hoping that comes to fruition because the alternative, and Sean brought it up, he's not saying it's going to happen, but he sees a path there for Pete to come back. If that's the alternative and Pete does come back, my God, I mean, you're talking about guys, dude, we fired coaches for way worse egregious activities than what's going on with this team. So
you heard me say
that we're 8-8.
You heard me say I don't see us winning another game. Okay. Because of this team and because of this coach and the way that he is showing favoritism towards players. Okay. Now, Sean, I'm about ready to knuckle sandwich your damn nose here, buddy. So tell me this. I'm just kidding. I love you, bro.
I love you too.
No, that's what this is all about. We don't have to agree with everything, but when it's all said and done, it's all love. So
let me say this really quickly. I'm not for Pete coming back. No, I'm not.
What's that?
I'm not. I wasn't like I see a path. Like I want Pete to come back. I agree with both of you.
Oh no. I'm not saying you want him to, but I want to know what that path is. Okay.
It's the inability okay, let's look at Ben Johnson. Like, why didn't he come to the Raiders? Well, because he had a stud quarterback that had some experience already. I mean, I think that's number one. He had a stud quarterback. Why didn't the Chargers Harbaugh come to the Raiders? I mean, he has history with the Raiders. He got a stud quarterback already. He knows I can get this defense up and running quickly. So will Brady be able to kick? Why didn't Stafford come to the Raiders last year to play under this badass offensive line?
Ask me. Answer this then. Okay. Answer this then. All right. So you're saying what you're expecting the Raiders to do is go out there and get one of those top coaches. Okay. Like who? You mentioned Ben Johnson. You mentioned, Stafford coming over, and you mentioned Robert Saleh turned them down, and Jim Harbaugh turned them down the year before. So give me an idea of your thinking of what coach they should be looking to bring in.
Well, I think we Miami's coach, if he gets fired, Mike McDaniel. I think,
he's got a lot more talent in Miami than you'll have here.
what's his name? The Seattle offensive coordinator. I think Brent, you've mentioned him in the past. Kubiak.
Yep.
I think there's some guys they're going to try to convince them to come in, right? And
Okay.
if they say, hey, we're going to get a quarterback in the NFL draft, and then don't,
there's no way they can fuck this up if they don't win another game. Okay. The only way they can fuck it up is by winning 2 more games. Okay. So you mentioned Clint Kubiak. You mentioned Mike McDaniel, which McDaniel will be back in Miami next year.
Yeah,
and he's not coming to Vegas where he's got less talent than he does in Miami and can't win. So here's what I'm thinking. You're bringing in the next hot shot, like a Clint Kubiak, Mike Burke, I think is his name, the defensive coordinator down in Houston is somebody that's on my radar, and some others. Okay. One thing we talked about that I brought up, and I don't remember if you guys agree with this or not either last time we talked, coaches have egos that are.
We just got rid of one, right?
Okay. So what makes you think that one of these young hot shots, like a Ben Johnson is doing right now, that knows, hey, we got the first pick or we got the second pick, so we're going to get Mendoza
or Simpson or whoever they want? Yeah.
Okay. Why wouldn't they want to fucking coach that guy? Why? They would, because they're going to say, oh, I'm a genius. I helped him develop into, an all-pro quarterback. That's what coaches do. That's how they think. That's how they are. That's why they get paid all the money they get. But you're not a coach without an ego. So they'll get a Clint Kubiak or somebody along those lines. They're not going to get a Mike Tomlin, and I wouldn't fucking want him even if he were coming, or a John Harbaugh. Same with him. But they are going to get somebody that will make a damn good head coach. But I tend to agree with Brent is that I feel like Mark made more of these decisions than you realize by bringing in Pete Carroll. I don't think we know Pete Carroll was not Tom Brady's choice because he wanted Ben Johnson. He said it. Everybody said it. He didn't want Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll was what they had left to choose from after they lost their first 2 choices. So I just don't see the path. And, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And, I just don't see it though. I just don't. I'm going to start crying.
You know what? You touched on it earlier. Like, this is the most disconnected.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt the same way, and I see it on Twitter as well. Other major fans saying, "What's going on here?" Right? There's just and I'll say this: if that's true, if Brady and Spytek are just sitting on their hands, they need to go. You can't waste people's time and energy. And I'm not talking about the coaches and the players.
Everybody has a boss, Sean.
What?
Everybody has a boss. I mean, we've seen how many times that your wife is your boss. How many times have we seen that?
They obviously. What I read was that Brady came in, right, and Mark is 1 and Brady is 1A, and he's kind of like, just like whatever Brady wants, right? And then
no.
This comes up that Jim Gray is doing
one, then it's whatever Mark wants. And who'd you
maybe
who'd you read that from? Who wrote that?
The Jim Gray thing. I didn't read it. I didn't read it. You
said you just read that Mark is 1 and Tom Brady is 1A. Who wrote that?
That came out of Lincoln Kennedy's mouth in an interview.
Yeah. Lincoln probably has a little more insight to it than we do. But here's the thing.
Lincoln is credible, right?
Okay,
I'm not saying he's right.
The thing. You said Mark is 1 and Brady is 1A. Well, that means when it's all said and done, the choice is still made by Mark.
I think it could be interpreted different ways. No,
it can't. No, because if 1A is not equal to
hear me. I understand how that works.
You should be saying it 1A, 1B. Okay.
No. So hear me out. This is the way I interpreted it. Mark's going to let him do whatever. But when they go to trade Max Crosby, he's like, we're not doing that. Whatever you thought you were going to do with Max, it ain't happening. He's a Raider for life.
Who said that?
That's one. That's
who
one
said that?
decision he makes. And then
Who?
1A gets to hire.
Who is he?
Huh?
Who is he?
Mark Davis. When Mark
Okay,
Davis
okay.
says,
So you're saying Mark Davis still has the final decision when he wants it.
but it's an interpretation on how, like, you're saying that because he has the final, he has the power of final say, he's actually using it for everything. And I'm saying he's not. I'm saying he's giving it all to Brady. But in certain instances, he'll step in and say, all right, I am your boss. We're not trading Max.
Yeah, well, the same thing happened with Derek Carr. Okay. How long did they hold on to Derek Carr? He played for us 9 years. Okay. And then he was gone because Mark wanted him gone. Mark is going to have the final say no matter what. And if he disagrees with Brady, he's going to point to Brady and say, look, you invested $10 million or $50 million, whatever the hell you invested. I got the whole goddamn thing. So we disagree, and that's fine.
I think I agree with you. Mark does have the final say. Where I think
let's get ready to go. So let's let him say his final piece.
I'm sorry, fellas. I got to go.
We're just ranting now. So.
We can carry on, but I was just going to do my sign off and say, look, if we do move on from Pete, and we're willing to tear this whole thing down and start over, I think Brian Flores in Minnesota he's earned it. He's earned his shot. He's earned his shot to get back in it. I know you're not the biggest Josh Allen fan in the world because you consistently go back and forth with Bills fans, and that's okay. But you can't deny what Brian DeBall did with Josh Allen and untap that talent. Give me a coaching staff with Brian Flores, Brian DeBall, and somebody like a Drew Aller who had that preseason comp to Josh Allen coming into this year, and let's roll with it, baby, and let's see what we got. So I got to roll. Happy Thanksgiving to y'all. I'll leave y'all with that, in honor of Thanksgiving, a little bit of thought to chew on there. I'm forever thankful for the relationship and the bond that we've created over these last 2 years. And I hope that y'all's Thanksgiving is as filled with blessings as mine is. I'll see y'all on the other side. Have a good night, Raider Nation.
You too, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, Sean.
All right.
We need to clean up here and finish it. We disagree, and that's fine. I like that. I like that we go back and forth. That's what I want us to be able to say what we think on here. Yeah. Okay, whether we agree or not. Okay, and that goes for anybody that's tuning in or anybody that wants to come join in. I want them to say what they think because we do. Yeah. But with that said, that bond that you and I have is getting wider and wider. The distance between us. So I don't know. If I could deal with you much longer. But anyway, I'm fucking with no, you guys are the only thing keeping me doing this shit. You and Brent, okay? Because there's days I don't fucking feel like talking about the Raiders, But I love you guys, and like Brent said, I love the bond that we built. I feel like we're all brothers in this. We all care about the same team, the same players, and we care about each other, and that's the main thing. We're going to disagree just like brothers do. You could get a little heated, but at the end of the day, you're still brothers. You still love each other. So and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. And it's all good and it's all in love. So, but what you said, nobody knows for sure. Because I think one way, you think another way, but nobody knows for sure. And that's the thing. And until the Raiders show us that they're willing to take a different path, then it's same old, same old. I kind of like what Brent left us with, bringing in Brian Flores and Brian DeBall and, drafting a Drew Aller, which And bringing in Mac Jones, I got no problem with Mac Jones either. I think that would be a good pickup because he's damn sure better than Brock Purdy. But I don't know. It remains to be seen, like it always does. We just don't know. So.
I agree with you guys. I don't see a W in sight.
No, I can't see one. I really can't. I mean, they got a tough schedule
if
coming.
there was a rift between Kelly and Carroll, if there was, because he kept saying we're going to run the ball, and then we'd run it one time in the first half.
Oh my God, I know.
If there was something there, then and he said in his press conference that he's worked with Olsen in the past, and this is the way he's always done it. So Olsen knows what Pete wants, right? And so I expect I expect the attempts to go up. Do we have a run game because of it? I don't know, but I expect the attempts to go up in the run game.
I expect that too, because Pete Carroll always ran the ball in Seattle, but he hit a lot of deficiencies that Russell Wilson had because of that. Beast mode helped him a whole lot, but he had an offensive line. We don't have that here, so I think the attempts, the carries are going to go up for Aston Genty, and even Robert Mostert. But I don't see a lot more production because of that offensive line.
We won't.
As far as Geno goes, Geno is who Geno is.
Yeah, I mean, he's a play action guy. But when you don't run the ball, there's no, we did all the play action against who was it? The team we played before, the Browns. Oh man. It doesn't matter. We did a lot of play action there, and it was working. But then this week, it was like they'd play action. The defense they weren't even paying attention to it. They knew we weren't going to run the ball,
I wouldn't be looking for a whole lot more. We're still going to run some play action. I wouldn't be looking for a whole lot more because Olsen doesn't run it either.
Well,
so, I mean, we ran it with Derek Carr a little bit, but it wasn't, like Derek Carr was a play action quarterback. Okay. Yeah. So, and the same, Geno may be more of a play action guy, but there's the key in today's NFL, I think, is being able to mix it up.
Yeah.
You've got to have the dual threat quarterback, and you got to have that number one running back like a Saquon Barkley, a Derrick Henry, a Christian McCaffrey that can do it all. And if you got that, then you got defenses on their heels. And if you don't have that, you ain't going nowhere. And if you don't have an offensive line, you ain't going nowhere anyway.
Yeah.
So, but we'll find out.
It's going to be. I mean, I'm still going to pay attention. They are my team.
Yeah.
But
that's what we should be doing. I mean, if we're going to come on here and talk about it, we better be paying attention.
Right. Well, that's why I was saying, I think this week is going to be a big tell. Not that we're going to see, I just because Chip's gone doesn't mean that we're going to have an all-pro line. I don't mean that.
Oh, that ain't going to happen.
With him gone, and if the rookies start, I think it maybe clears the air on who was doing something, Oh,
but yeah, he definitely would.
I agree with your nepotism. If just because he, starts rookies, we'd like to see him get better throughout the year. And if the nepotism, if his son is Brandon or Brendan isn't a good coach, they won't get better. In fact, they'll probably learn bad habits.
Well, here's the thing, okay? If you are the head coach and you let your offensive coordinator dictate who starts every game, then you're a piss poor head coach, okay? Now, do they have say in the decisions? Absolutely, as they should, as should the offensive line coach. But you are the man in charge. You are the man that's being held accountable. Okay. You are the one that's going to lose your job. Therefore, they're losing, all of them are losing theirs also if you don't get shit right. So, with Brennan Carroll being the offensive line coach, I just don't. And with what, just based on what Pete has said, I don't see any changes coming in the offensive line. And the same, I can say the same thing for John Harbaugh and in Baltimore, same thing. There's guys on the bench that could come in and play if you let them, that aren't going to do any worse, and they're developing as they go.
Yeah.
Because you started the season 1-5, okay, and the Raiders are sitting at 2-9, and it ain't going to get better. So so even if you win out at this point, the best you can do is 8-9.
Yeah.
But what's the point? Let the guys play. And if you don't let them play, that tells me all I need to know about you coming back next year. That's how I look at it.
It's if he starts playing the rookies,
we'll see.
I don't think he still isn't coming back.
I'm not going to say they're not going to play them, but they're not going to all of a sudden come in and start, I don't think.
Yeah.
And, and if they're not ready to do that, again, that's on the coach, because that's your job, is to get them ready. And he hasn't done that, and he's admitted that. So him coming out and saying some of the crap that he said, to me, is a fireable offense right there. I mean, I'm like, dude, you come out and say that kind of shit, I'm going to take the podium while you're up there and say, pack your shit and get out of my building.
You touch on a good subject, because at the beginning of the year, I remember that I think we were 1-1, I think, and somebody asked him about why Tank and why JJ weren't playing. Mm-hmm. And they did get in. He's like, oh no, we're going to play the rookies. We need to develop them. All the rookies are going to get a chance to play a little bit, because we're going to need them later in the year, except for the 2
we are 9 games later.
Except for the 2 third rounders, they're not going to play, right? So
we're 9 games past that.
Yeah.
And the tune has changed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play them if they're not ready to help us win right now. Well, Pete, why aren't they ready to help you? Because I haven't worked with them to develop them. If they can't help me win now, I'm not going to. He said that. I'm not going to develop players that can't help me win. So he's saying one of two things there, because that can be interpreted a couple of different ways too. He's saying, I'm not fooling with them because I'm trying to win. Or he's saying the guys that we drafted ain't worth a fuck. Okay.
And we talked about that.
There you go. That is a horrible look for a coach.
It is. I mean, we talked about that on here. Are these guys just not? Did we just draft 9 developmental players? I mean, some of them we knew were developmental, like quarterback. But
I mean, the way he talks about
all the time.
The way he talks about them, they're mentally disabled.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not like they're physically disabled.
Yeah,
they're mentally disabled.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, why we draft them in the first place? Because it's not the case. We know that.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just coach speak, and he's making it worse on himself than he's helping himself. He's not helping himself at all.
Yeah. We're gonna see. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Watching.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Tell the family I said hello.
I will, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Thank you, sir. And we will be back on here in a couple of weeks. And I'm sure we'll have plenty more to argue about by then.
Maybe they won't let him finish the season.
What's that?
Let Carroll finish the season. Like if he Chargers, Broncos, Philly, maybe they fire him after the Philly game.
Well, they talk about, Black Friday is coming up this Friday, and then they talk about Black Monday. That's the day that the coaches lose their jobs.
Yeah.
That's coming up too. So
Maybe it's just
I don't think it's the Monday after Black Friday. I can't remember, but
yeah.
If you're going to make a change, I'll say this to what you just said. If you're going to make a change next year, you might as well do it now.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean,
let Greg Olson coach the team or Patrick Graham for the rest of the year and call it done.
make him play the rookies. Like, it doesn't matter. Get those rookies in there, getting reps, all of them. And that's it.
But that's what you get when you have owners, billionaire owners, that don't know the game.
Yeah.
Never played it, don't know it. All they know is the business end of things. Okay, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Look at the Giants. They're struggling now for that reason. Okay, the Bears were struggling for all those years for that reason. The Lions all those years but they turned it around. They finally started listening to football people. Is Mark Davis going to do that? We'll see.
We're going to find out.
We'll see. All right, bro. Thanks again for joining, being on tonight and being part of the podcast and being part of the crew. And like I said, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. And hopefully we have a few more answers instead of all these damn questions. I'm getting an ulcer. Yeah. All right, bro. I love you, man.
Love you too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Talk to you later. All right, everybody. That was Sean Fuentes, our guy out of Austin, Texas, joining us tonight for the Raiders crew. Brent Morris had to leave a little early. He's got family obligations. Thanks for joining us. We run long tonight. We're on 2 hours now. The viewers, you all have stuck with us. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you, give you something to think about and talk about. And I want to say one last thing, and that's happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Thanks for joining us. Without you, we've got nothing. And so thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode, probably in a couple weeks. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Good night.